Where are you getting your life lessons from? What are your sources? Who are you listening to?
You're watching Timeless Talks, timeless subjects, information for life.
What we're talking about today happens to be life lessons. Life lessons are nothing more than wisdom by a different name. Life lessons come from numerous sources, but mostly from what we hear, what we read, what we observe in other people. And listen very carefully, because those sources are going to be so extremely important. Those life lesson sources are going to help determine how happy you are or how content you can be. They'll even be a major factor in where you spend eternity. Now, there are 4 sources that we're going to examine today. Of course, the last one is the best one. But the first one is rather simple. We need to listen to our parents. This is what God wrote to us in Proverbs chapter 1, beginning in verse 8. Hear, my son, your father's instructions, and forsake not your mother's teachings, for they are a graceful garland for your head and pendants for your neck. Then there happens to be chapter 3 at verse 1. Here it says, my son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace, they will add to you. And there's even more. Chapter 4 and verse 1. Hear, O son, a father's instructions, and be attentive, that you may gain insight. For I give you good precepts. Do not forsake my teaching. The Bible book of Proverbs has got a lot of information about these sources and paying attention to them. We would be glad to send them to you in addition to what we're talking about today. All you got to do is click the services up at the top, find the contact button, and send us a request. We'll get you the information that you need. But there's something about those listening to parents. Some parents really are great, and they teach us the things that we need to hear, and they give us the instruction, and we can see it in their lives. That's great. But what about the other parents, the not as good parents? Well, they're not a loss, because we can listen to what they say. They may tell us what they failed in and why they failed. Or we can see in their life their failures and understand what went wrong. So even theirs can be real helpful to us. The first and important source happens to be parents. The second source, though, is very unique. It is everybody. Yeah, everybody. Everybody has life experiences, and we all should be learning from our own successes and our failures. But just because you know your third cousin twice remove's father-in-law doesn't mean you need to be paying great amount of attention to them. We need to sift through everything those kind of people tell us. They get to be telling us a lie. They could be telling us a falsehood. They may be embellishing it greatly. But listen, when we sift through, we will wind up, we'll be respectful and we'll listen carefully, but we're going to use just a tiny, tiny amount that we hear from them. But that's source number 2 is everybody. Source number 3 happens to be you. Now, we're not talking about the way that you think, and we're certainly not talking about your reasonings. Why? Well, to put it nicely, they can be seriously flawed. Listen to what we're told in Proverbs chapter 3. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. What we're talking about from you is that you need to be someone who uses your memory of all the other sources that you're using. You need to remember. Listen carefully to what it tells us in Proverbs chapter 8. Hear instructions and be wise, and do not neglect it. All this good information is going to be useful to us as long as we can call it all back, and as long as we don't neglect it. It can help us take a good life and make it even better. It can, by our memory, it can help prevent really bad things from happening to us. These are three tremendous sources. But the fourth one is by far the very best. And this source needs to have more priority than all the others. As a matter of fact, it should be the first one we go to, and then we take our parents and everybody and our memory and we filter it through this last one. What is this most important one? We should listen to God first. This should be our first place to learn how to be smart, how to gain life lessons. All the others can help you become street smart, but only God's way can help you become soul smart. How can God do that? It's really quite simple. You see, He doesn't think like we think. He's not like us. He's above us and smarter and more intelligent at a level we can't even dream about. Listen carefully to what it says in Isaiah chapter 55. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his ways and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, that he may have compassion on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. God's ways always work. They're always wise. They're always helpful. Why, they're the perfect guide, like an owner's manual almost. Listen carefully to what he says in 2 Timothy chapter 3. All scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, for training in righteousness, that the man of God may be complete, equipped for every good work. There's an awful lot of lessons we need to learn in life, no matter what age we are. Even if we are older, we need to be learning, and we need to be transferring that information out of ourselves into someone else. But this one is the best of all, and it can guide us when life itself hasn't been so grand or so kind. We'd like to be able to send that information to you. All you got to do is request it. Up at the top under services, you'll see a contact form. Fill it out. Tell us what you'd like to know. We will be glad to send you emails and maybe start an email conversation, or we can text or use IM. We can do video conferences. We can even use an old-fashioned telephone. We'll do what it takes to get you the information. You say, I don't really need information, but I do need some help. I need prayers. Under that same heading, you'll find a prayer request. And there, let us know what you need us to pray for. We've got a hand-selected group of people anxious to pray for you. But we need to know. And we will handle your prayer request very discreetly. You say, I don't need either one of those. I need to read something. We will have some additional resources and videos to be watched along the same subject, as you'll see down below. But there's also the idea that you can look up booklets here on our website, like this one about life after death. What happens then? Where do we go? We have it available for you. and 23 other booklets are waiting under the free offers. At Timeless Talks, we are just interested in trying to give you information on these timeless subjects so that your life right now can be good and that we together can work our way toward meeting God in eternity. Be a grand day when we get there. Thank you so much for watching. We look forward to visiting with you again very soon. Until then, goodbye for now.